All right, so a huge claim popped up recently, an anonymous 4chan post, and I know you automatically shake your head and say, absolutely not, but this 4chan post is being summarized by sites like Fandom Wire, and it lists a ton of supposed Elder Scrolls 6 details. So today, we're going to go over the entire post. Now, of course, take it with a grain of salt. It's from 4chan. Have things come to fruition from 4chan for gaming leaks in the past? Yes, they have. Have there been some wild and outlandish 4chan leaks that were not true at all? Absolutely. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos. But this one is interesting. It's talking about Elder Scrolls 6. It actually gives it a name and a code name. So it's in depth, and of course somebody could be in their basement making all this up, but I thought you guys would at least be interested to hear what they have to say. So let me know in the comments what you think. Drop a like, make sure you're subscribed. They give it all. Hammerfell and High Rock is the setting, which we've talked about in the past. New factions, guilds, sailing ships, which we have definitely debated on this channel. Settlement building, same thing, and story beats with Nocturnal and Parite. So even release dates that point to 2027. I know. I mean, if any of it's true, it's massive. But should we get excited right out of the gate? No, we need to be cautious. Bethesda has never confirmed any of these specifics. In fact, the only official word we have is that Elder Scrolls 6 is in active development and it's progressing very well. But they're taking their time to get it right. And there's no official title setting or date yet. So I thought it would be interesting to break all this down. I mean, we'll go over what the leak claims, compare it to what we actually know or don't know from Bethesda and other reliable sources. No hype here, just the facts off the leaks, and honestly, a lot of questions as we see them. And you guys know I read every single comment on every single video. So, Bethesda first teased TS6 back at E3 2018. RIP E3. Does anybody else miss E3? I mean, it was just a logo and a promise. Since then, they've been silent. In fact, as Game Informer reports, the game was first announced in 2018, but it hasn't received any meaningful updates since then. All anyone has really said is stuff like, it's progressing really well. Todd Howard told Game Informer the studio is mostly focused on TS6 now, and that we wish it went a little bit faster. But it's a process that we want to get right. Of course you do. It's one of the biggest games of all time. Studio designer Emil Pagliarulo, I hope I said that right, put it bluntly, we're going to take our time, as long as it needs to be great. In other words, Bethesda acknowledges fans are impatient, but they are not setting deadlines that we can trust. So why so cautious? Well, between Skyrim all the way back in 2011, and now Bethesda's delivered Starfield that was in 2023, I mean, there's been a lot of mixed feedback. PC Gamer noted Starfield fell far short of expectations, and that likely has Bethesda rethinking their entire approach. Plus, after making one of the biggest RPGs ever in Skyrim, they seem determined to not repeat the mistake. So overall, official word is Elder Scrolls 6 is happening, but anything about when or where, it's pure guesswork. And that is why fans latch on to any rumor or leak they can get. I mean, we've heard nothing in this vacuum of facts. We have an anonymous leak that is getting traction, and it's not really shocking to me. But we do have to remember, everything below that I'm about to go over is the speculation of rumor here. The leaker's claims are unverified, even admitted as such by sites covering. But guess what? They're all covering it. So let's take a look at the leak piece by piece. Keep in mind, nothing's confirmed. According to the leak, and this was via the Gameverse over on X and Fandom Wire's write-up, the game's full title will be Elder Scrolls 6 Iliac, with an internal code name of White Beach. Now, it would be set in Hammerfell plus coastal High Rock, basically the Iliac Bay area. The leak says there are 11 major cities and 2 fortress cities on the map, and it explicitly mentions shipbuilding, sailing, and even settlement building as gameplay features, which we have talked about and debated heavily all of those features here on the channel. So you guys let me know. Refresh your opinions on shipbuilding, seafaring wars, sailing, and settlement building, and procedural generated settlement building. The claim factions include all your usual guild. You have the Thieves Guild, you have the Dark Brotherhood, you have the Fighters Guild, you have the Mages Guild, all with an open world design where the cities and the interiors are all mostly seamless. That means you only load when you're entering a procedurally generated area. Now, it gives very specific details here. That's why people are latching onto this. The Imperial Cult and the Temple of the Three World would be present, but not joinable. And 2 new Redguard factions called the Crowns and the Forebears would exist in the universe. You can join one or the other, you can pick. Now on the flip side, the leak explicitly denies several expected elements. There's no sword singing, the Redguard warrior ability. There's no return, there's no generic NPCs like in Starfield. The story is said to revolve around the princess, Nocturnal Imperite, and some Akaviri artifact. Now, the Crowns versus Forebears Choose Your Path subplot supposedly has you fighting the Aldemari, which is an invasion. So we've got world events changing based on your choice. Now, as for tech and scale, the leak claims that TES 6 is much further along than usual for this point, with marketing starting in January of 2026 with a full reveal at the Summer Showcase, probably Summer Game Fest 2026, in a release window around holiday 2026 to Q1 in 2027. That's the biggest takeaway here. Forget shipbuilding. Forget where it's at. Forget if it's called Iliac or whatever. If this part of the leak actually ended up being true, we could be less than a year and a half away from playing Elder Scrolls 6. It even asserts that Elder Scrolls 6 won't be an Xbox exclusive, but that PC users would have a delayed launch, kind of like Rockstar does with their GTA games and Red Dead, essentially a reverse of the Black Myth Wukong situation. That's a lot of detail for a leak, but remember, it's all leaks, allegations. Outlets covering the leak explicitly say, take them with a grain of salt since nothing's official, and that's what we're trying to do here on the channel too. Also, guys, I'm trying to kind of reshape the content and not bring you guys stuff that is just out of left field. We're trying to bring all the confirmed stuff, and then if we're talking speculation, we definitely brand it as speculation and things like this. I want you guys to know up front, we're covering a 4chan leak, so you can take that with what you want. Now, what is verified from official channels? Well, none of the above. Bethesda has given us no actual information on the title, no information on the setting, story, or the features. Todd Howard's quote implies they're deep in development, but they're making steady progress. There's no mention of Iliac, no hints of ship mechanics, no comments on Hammerfell. All we know for sure is the game exists and it's a ways off. In fact, the same Fandom Wire article that listed the leak facts that not too long ago says that Elder Scrolls 6 doesn't have an official date. So the general consensus from analysts is that a 2026-2027 release is unrealistic. And of course it is. It sounds too good, right? Many, myself included, are expecting 2028 or later. So beyond that, all the official interviews emphasize quality over speed. We've heard that. So the verified update is basically developers say, we're working on it, but be patient. So to put bluntly here, almost everything that leak list is unknown. Bethesda has not confirmed any detail claimed. We don't know the actual title. It could just be Elder Scrolls 6 with Iliac being purely speculation. We don't know for sure where it's set. Now in lore, Hammerfell or Iliac Bay are plausible guesses, of course, but even that is a fan theory territory. I mean, all factions and guilds are a mystery. No official word on whether the Thieves Guild or the Fighters Guild are going to return, and there's no intel on any new groups. I mean, the story details, total question marks. Game systems like ship travel, settlement building, they've made their rounds through the leaks before. And I want to say something. I've been around a lot of gaming leaks over the last 16 years. And one thing you have to watch is when those leaks are very thorough. And this one is very thorough. It's very specific. And they hit all those heartstrings that you're hoping for and you're looking for. Sometimes that's the red flag. Because those are the leaks that we want to trick ourselves into attaching to, whether they're real or not. And I'm kind of getting that vibe from this one. The release schedule, wide open. Despite the leak saying holiday 2026 or Q1 2027, most industry trackers are saying later. I mean, Fandom Wire said many reports now suggest beyond 2027, maybe around 2028 or later. And so far, Bethesda, we don't get anything in their ballpark. I mean, nothing at all. We have no trailers, no screenshots. All we have is our 2018 teaser and some words. So I do like to speculate, and I definitely want to here. I'm flagging this. If I had to guess, some of these leak points are maybe plausible, others not so much. For example, the setting. Hammerfell makes sense. We've said it here on the channel. It's a large province full of Redguard history. High Rocks coastline, Iliac Bay, long rumored as a leak. And the idea of 11 cities and 2 fortress hubs sounds made up, but we've talked about that in the past. But an open world map in the region, definitely conceivable. Now, sailing ships, Bethesda hasn't done big naval gameplay aside from small boat rides in any main Elder Scrolls title to this point. It would be brand new territory, but it's not impossible. Settlement building? I don't know. You guys are definitely opinionated on that. Maybe something like Hearthfire's Little Homes, but full-fledged base building in an RPG? I don't know. It'd be a shock to me if it was true. I mean, the leak could be twisting settlements from Bethesda's work on other games. I mean, they did hint at a settlement system in Starfield. Then we have the factions, the thieves, the Dark Brotherhood, the mages, the fighters. Those are all series staples and heartstrings that we would pull on to want to be sure. We could expect them to be back. I mean, the Imperial Cult and the Temple of the Three, those are Somerset Skyhold-related churches. So having them appear but not joinable maybe means you can't join the religious orders. That's plausible. But then Crowns and Forebears? Those names honestly don't ring any bells to me in any official lore. They sound like invented Redguard factions, maybe King versus Merchant class. I don't know, that would be tied to Hammerfell's royal history. Could be fan fiction. But if they do exist, fighting in Hammerfell, it would be a known story beat. I mean, what's not included there is what raises eyebrows for me. No sword singing? None of that. Classic Redguard skill. If you play as a Redguard, you should have it, right? If Hammerfell is a setting, removing that would be really weird. All that other stuff, the vanished dwarves, everything like that, I don't know. The generic NPCs is probably a dig at Starfield's mass NPCs, probably a pissed off fan putting this leak together. I suspect a big chunk of that list is probably trolling. I really do. Story-wise, the Nocturnal and Periite are, centering a whole game around them. I mean, Nocturnal ruled the Thieves Guild in Oblivion DLC. Maybe there's a tie-in. It's niche, to be honest with you. And then the world tech, the leak says open world with no loading except at specific transition zones. Bethesda usually does big open maps anyway. I don't think we need procedural areas. That's weird. They normally handcraft everything in Elder Scrolls games. Maybe it's trying to say some parts are randomly generated, but that would be different from the past. That would be a departure from what they do. I don't think so. Given Bethesda's track record, I'd expect as much handcrafted detail as possible, and I'm sure you guys would too. And then the timeline in the platforms, the leak's January 2026 marketing campaign push in late 2026, that's bold. I don't see it happening. Bethesda themselves has hinted at a much later date. I'm still stuck on 2028, maybe even 2029. And I would expect Xbox first or exclusive, not the other way around. That PS delayed claim might just be a complete guess. So if I had to speculate, Iliac Bay or Hammerfell, reasonable setting choice. That part might be real fan hype. Returning guilds, of course, very likely. Sailing ships, maybe in limited fashions, rivers, coasts, not full naval combat. I mean, Crowns and Forebears, I don't think that's the real name. Release date, 2026, probably not happening. That's my takeaway. Bottom line, we went through a laundry list of stuff here, and a lot of it is suspiciously neat. But remember, the only verified source is Bethesda's own silence. The studio's recent statements have been all about taking time and not rushing. They haven't given us any sign that those leaked specifics are accurate. So you guys let me know what you think. Like I said, I wanted to go over it. It's fun to talk about. Some of it may actually end up being true just because it is true and it makes sense. But I'm going to chalk this one up to our normal 4chan and say it's a pretty creative fan of the Elder Scrolls world that knows some things about it and has a lot of wishful thinking involved. You guys let me know what you think, and I'll see you soon.